Good evening and welcome to Dopamine. Today, I will be your guide to the magical world. This Ukrainian folktale is called Tree to the Sky. It will help to relax and organize the mind, improve sleep in a natural way, relieve stress and insomnia. Let's relax. Get comfortable, close your eyes. Inhale and exhale. And once again, inhale and exhale. Now, let's start our story. Somewhere behind the mountains, behind the forests, I don't know in which state, once upon a time lived a king. He was already old. The state is big, but there is no successor, only one daughter. The girl grew up, already ready for marriage. And the king began to think about how to give his daughter in marriage to take the burden off the elderly shoulders. To rule the state in old age is not an easy task. He lets all the neighboring regions know so that matchmakers would come to him. A boy who his daughter will be in love with will take her as his wife. As it was announced, dukes, barons, and simple guys who were very handsome began to gather from all over the world. Everyone wanted to become a king and marry a beautiful woman. The girl looked at one, the second, at the third. She didn't like them, and she told her father that she will not marry any of them. The king was angry. "Daughter, think carefully. I am already old. Time for me to rest." But the girl is smart. The king had a wonderful garden around the palace, so beautiful that there was nothing like it in the whole world. There were flowers and trees that only grow in warm, hot places in the world. And in the middle of that garden grew a tree already so tall that no one could see its top. The king was very proud of this miracle tree. Once, when the daughter was tired of listening to reproaches for getting married, she went out into the garden. The sun was warm, the day was clear and warm. The girl walks among the flowers and talks with them. "Don't be afraid, little flower. I won't leave you, no matter how the daddy tries to pass me off to some distant prince." But one clear day, a cloud gathered, thundered, flashed, and darkened. A terrible hail fell. It didn't last long. The sky cleared again, and the sun began to shine. But the garden was black from devastation. All the flowers were broken, the leaves were knocked off the trees, and everything was completely dry, as if it had been scalded with hot water. The king left the palace and did not recognize the garden. "I have grown old, but I have never seen anything like this. There is neither a flower nor a leaf. I want to cry." He calls his daughter, and she doesn't respond. He was looking for her, didn't find her. Calling servants. They run, ask, nothing. The king was scared. He sent news wherever he could. Then he sent his messengers to foreign countries and promised to the one who would find his daughter his entire kingdom. Thousands of people searched for the princess, but she disappeared as if the earth had swallowed her. The king is very upset. He had one daughter, and she disappeared. Unfortunately, he fell ill. Doctors go to see him, And it's crazy, he was getting worse and worse. Once the king fell asleep in the garden, and he dreamed that on the day when a terrible storm passed in the middle of the day, there was a seven-headed snake in the cloud. He grabbed his daughter and carried her to the top of a tall tree. And on that tree, there is a palace of snakes. In it is a captive. The king woke up and thought to himself, "A dream is a dream, but it can also be true, because that day my daughter really went missing. Come on, let's try." And he let it be known throughout all the states that if such a knight was found who would climb a tree high up to the sky and free his daughter, then he would give her in marriage to him and transfer all his possessions to him. Oh, when the young people heard this, they began to gather from all over the world to the royal court. Dukes, barons, counts, even well-dressed gypsies, who considered themselves even a little of a good climber, everyone cried out to the king because everyone wanted to become his successor. They climbed, some up, others down. Some climbed so high that they could hardly be seen, but they could not go any further and climbed down. This went on for a day, a second, a third, next a week, two. No success. But the king had a cattleman. Once upon a time, kings and czars had herds of all kinds of cattle. He watched as the gentleman tried to climb the tree and thought to himself, "Hey, if the king would let me, I would bring his girl from the snake." And he did not stop thinking about it when he looked after the herd. He even once spoke it out loud. "Hey, if the king would let me." And the old pig in the cellar heard these words, came up to him, scratched, and said, "Go to the king and ask for permission to climb. You will climb a tall tree and free the girl. I know you will. I give this advice because you honored us. The king will slaughter an old hornless buffalo, skin it, and order 3 coats to be made for you from that skin." Ivan listened to the old pig and went to the king. He sat sad in the garden. The court jester made him laugh in vain. "Why, Ivan, did you come?" "Most enlightened king, I see there are a lot of climbers here. Let me climb too. I promise that I will bring you a princess daughter." The king laughed, although he was not happy in his soul. "Do you want to climb a tree, Ivan? Better join this fool as an assistant. Your conversation is senseless." The guy got angry. "Your Majesty, allow me to climb." Then the king asked his jester, "What do you say about Ivan's conversation? Give me Ivan as an assistant, because he's even more stupid than I am." The guy became more angry. "Most enlightened king," he says in a threatening voice, "do not listen to a fool. Order to slaughter a hornless buffalo, and sew 3 coats from its skin, and let me climb. If I come back without the princess, do whatever you want with my head." The king looks at the boy and thinks, this is no longer a joke, and says, "There are good ones. It will be as you wish. Let's slaughter a buffalo, but remember that you will not return without my daughter. If you don't bring her, you'd better fall out of a tree and break your head, because if you don't break it yourself, the executioner will cut it off for you." Ivan returned to his pigs, and the king gave an order to slaughter a buffalo and to saw the boy coats from its skin. When it was ready, he called Ivan. "They did it your way. Take the jackets and you can climb, either kingdom or death." Ivan doesn't need to be told twice. He put on 1 coat and tied the other 2 on his shoulders. He took the axe and went under the tree. There were so many people, everyone is waiting. Ivan examined the tree and sharpened his axe. He stood on the axe, then took it out and held it above his head. In this way, He climbed higher and higher. He soon disappeared from sight. He climbed all day, and in the evening, he already tore the jacket on his chest. But there is still so much climbing to do. He put on a second coat and climbs again. But after a day, that one also tore. "Well, coat," he says to the third when he has put it on, "at least hold on until I reach the first branch." And he climbed up to a branch that was growing straight to the side. The boy sat on a branch and says to himself, "Ivan, come back." And in a second voice, "Ivan, don't turn around, climb boldly further." And he reached so far that the third coat was also torn off. His chest was covered in blood. Ivan ignored it. He has already reached the first sleeve, closes his eyes, and says, "Well, goodbye, Wold. Either I win or lose." And with closed eyes, he jumped to the first sleeve. He opens his eyes, and here is a world like the one from which he came. Grass grows, fields, forests, mountains. He goes, he got lost. At once he sees, on the mountain, the palace rotates on a duck's leg. Ivan hit the slag with an axe, and the palace stopped. The doors and gates all around suddenly rattled, and the boy, a swish, to the royal court. At the same moment, all the doors closed, and the palace started spinning again. Ivan comes, looks around, but no one is there. When he entered the palace, a girl ran to him. "Look, it's the Tsar's daughter." She to him, "Oh, Ivan, how did you get here? Don't ask anything. Come back to your dad because he is dying for you." When she heard this, she turned pale. "Ivan, don't say such a thing, because when the snake hears you, my husband, it will be the end of both you and me." She didn't have time to finish, but the snake is already here. 7 heads, and a flame blazes from each throat. Everything burns for 7 meters. Ivan was scared. "What kind of creature is this?" asked the snake. "It will be his end immediately." The girl dared and spoke. "This is my faithful servant. He couldn't live without me, so he came to serve me here too." The snake has quieted down, but is still looking at Ivan with a frown. "Okay, I won't kill you, but you will not eat bread for nothing. Follow me, I will give you a job." Ivan follows the snake. At the end of the yard is a barn. The snake unlocked the door, and there the horse is lying on the platform. Poor, miserable. Flies are flying over it. Its skin is crawling. Can't get up, only groans. "Do you see this horse? You will take care of him. Feed him. Give him enough of everything, but don't give him what he asks for." "But how can you give everything and not give what he asks for?" "I told you, and you do it," and goes away. Then he returned. "Ivan, think. If you try to deceive me, your life will end." Ivan began to bring food to the horse. Good hay, clover, oats, barley. And the horse does not take it in its mouth. It lies down, it does not raise its head. Ivan felt sorry for it, stroked it, and says, "Eat, my dear, eat. Maybe you'll get better. I will serve you well." The horse listens, and says in a human voice, "I see, boy, you have a good heart. You force me to eat hay and oats for nothing. This is not my food. And what to feed you? I eat a hot facet and drink a flame. Give me a facet and fill me with flame, and then I will be healthy." But he ordered not to give whatever you ask for. "If you listen to the snake, you will not free the princess, because I know that you would like to save her. And here, there is no one who can destroy the snake, only me. Because of this, he tortures me so that I die. Ask for what you want, my dear, I will give everything to free the princess. I'm not asking much from you. Only on Sunday, when he will fly over the mountains, burn some firewood, and I will eat a facet, and everything will be fine. But we will act secretly. And so it happened. When it was Sunday, the snake spread its wings and flew away. That's all Ivan needs. He lit the firewood. Before they had burned down, he picked up the heat of the shovel and carried it to the horse. The horse swallowed in one breath and was ready to lift its head. Ivan brought the second and the third shovel full of heat. As soon as the horse ate it, he got back on his feet. Then Ivan removed the chains from him. The horse ran out into the yard, swallowed all the flames, and ate the entire facet. Ivan takes a closer look. The horse is not simple. The fur is golden. Instead of 4, he has 5 legs. Wings stick out from above the shoulder blades. Well, Ivan, you did everything I told you. Let's start to act until he came back. Go to the pub. There is a saddle, a saber, and a bridle. Bring it on me. Hurry up. Ivan laughed. He is looking, sees snake's barrels with wine. In the darkness, he found a saddle, a saber, and a bridle. Took them and carries. Just left the pub, and the snake is right at the door. What have you done, boy? You tricked me. Now you will disappear. He snatched the saber from Ivan's hands and wanted to cut off his head. Ivan asks, "Let me go. I will never deceive you again." "I won't let you go. You must die here. Let's drink wine for your sins first." He took Ivan back to the beer hall, broke a keg, and poured himself and the boy a pint each. The snake drinks, and Ivan asks, "Let me go." "I won't let go. Now let's drink for my sins." And he poured himself a bucket of wine again. Next, the second, third, fourth, he drank 7 buckets of wine, got drunk and lost his mind. Dances, sings, walks back and forth, spins, and then he fell asleep like the dead. Ivan was happy. He quietly took the saber and wants to cut down the snake, but he thinks to himself, "I will cut off 1 head and 6 will remain. The snake will wake up immediately and destroy me." He grabbed the saddle and bridle and ran to the horse, told what happened in the pub. "You did very well not to touch the snake. You wouldn't kill him. Bring here the saddle." The horse blew, and all the rest disappeared from the saddle, and precious stones appeared. "Saddle me and let's run away." Ivan saddled the horse. "But where are we going?" "Do not ask. We have to get out of here as soon as possible." The horse got up. He flew, and finally, in the dark forest, he landed on the ground. "Well, Ivan, here in this forest, there is a wild boar. Pay attention because we have to kill the savage. In his head is a live hare, and it must be killed. And in the hare's head, there is a diamond casket. And in that casket, there are 7 beetles. Those beetles have the power of the snake. If we kill them, he will lose his power. Look, the savage is running towards us." Ivan looked. The savage was huge, and his fangs were like sabers. He opened his mouth and chased after them. The horse jumped into the air and hit the boar on the head with his heel. Ivan split his head with a saber, and suddenly a hare jumped out. Ivan on a horse. The horse caught up with the hare and kicked it to death. Then Ivan calmly got down from his horse, split the rabbit's head open, and took out the diamond box. And in the casket, the beetles buzzed like a motor. Ivan looked around and saw a stone. He put the casket on that stone, and with the second block, he hit it so hard that there was no trace of the beetles. "Well, we can safely go back," the horse tells him. Ivan got on his horse and flew to the palace. He looks in the middle of the yard A snake is barely crawling. It cannot stand on its feet. When Ivan approached him, he said, "Hey, Ivan, you destroyed me, took away my strength. I will take not only strength but also your life, and I will take the princess. Ivan, take everything I have, gold, silver, diamonds, only leave me my life. I didn't kill you. No, this is death for you." He grabbed the saber and chopped off all 7 heads. Snake blood flowed knee-deep in the yard. Ivan entered the palace and said to the princess, "We can go home. Free way." The girl doesn't believe. She looked through the window and there was blood outside. "Oh, Ivan, take me to my dad. I'll carry you." The girl takes her things and Ivan went outside, walks around and thinks, "I get out here, and how to get out of here? Maybe I would have managed to get off myself, but with a girl." Told the princess about it. Now both are sad, walking around the yard. "It would be better to make peace with the snake," says the girl. They are sad. Suddenly in front of them, a horse appeared. "Why are you upset, my lord?" "It's hard to get out of here." "Don't be sad. Are you both ready?" "Ready." "Then sit on me." They sat on a horse. The horse says, "Close your eyes." They closed their eyes and only heard how the air sounded. They fly somewhere at a terrible speed. After a few minutes, the horse stamped its feet and almost jumped to the ground. "Open your eyes and look around." They opened their eyes and saw that they were at the king's in the yard. "And there are many people here. Everyone is upset. What happened?" "The king is dying." The princess and Ivan quickly ran to him. The king lies almost dead. And when the daughter spoke, the old man, hearing her voice, suddenly opened his eyes, immediately jumped from the deathbed. His health returned. He began to speak. If there was music, he would dance. He even got younger. "How did you end up here?" Then the girl told the dad about everything that happened. The king listened and said, "Ivan, there was a time when I wanted to appoint you as a false assistant. There was also such an agreement between us. If you bring my daughter, you will be my son-in-law. I give you my only daughter and appoint you as my successor." A great feast began. For 2 weeks, the wedding was held for the young people. The king summoned not only the courtiers, but also the whole nation. Both the crooked and the blind walked and danced. Ivan took over the kingdom, even now reigns, as long as he didn't die.